So I was listening to a Shinzen AMA Ask Me Anything last night. It was really cool. And I wanted to share with you some of the things he was talking about. The students were asking about, the big three questions. Like, the first one is like, is this shit even worth it? Like, is meditation real, right? And you've all, if you're sitting here watching this video, you're like, oh, you must have had an experience of like, oh yes, a glimpse, a moment. They call it a satori, just a fleeting moment or a short moment, just enough to get you to see and taste samadhi, the concentrated state of practice. And you're like, oh yeah. Okay, there is something here. And then the second question is like, you get serious and you actually start to practice this. And that is what it is. It's a practice, right? It's so funny. He said, it's a welcome to Club Med, the meditation club, Club Med. And the price you pay, the entrance price you pay, and anybody can join, like anybody can join Club Med, but the price you pay is that you have to practice, because the next question that comes up, the second question is like, I'm practicing, but it's like, when is it going to level out? When is it going to level out? Like some days I'm like, yay, I'm like, oh, so mindful and so conscientious, and I like was super creative and I was patient and calm and whatever. And then other days you're like, oh, I totally lost my shit today, right? That's part of being human. We're working through that process probably until the day we die. But also it's like, what's good to know about that process is it does level out. It's first of all, they're very high peaks and going through it. Because you've not experienced that before meditation. The reason you were like, is this shit worth it? Should I try it? Is because we felt those ups and downs as a general malaise or as a depression or as just anxiety or anxiousness or existential angst or what the hell am I here for? What's the point of what's the purpose, right? So if you experienced them before, but you've had no way or understanding, now you have a way of understanding, like, oh, I understand the process now. And that's a subtle sensory system process that's going on. Something's being triggered or fired or whatever, right? So at least now you know, oh, okay, now I know how this works. And then it can feel like it's these big ups and downs, because of course, the mind wants a quick fix. The mind wants to be like, I want to be a decade out already in my practice or 2 decades out, right? And I want to be like this. I want to be like this, right? They call this part of the process, ironically, like you're learning to ride the ox backwards. So just let that one sink in for a sec. That's what it feels like. But we know this happens because we know this is a universal process. And we know from thousands of years and thousands and hundreds of thousands of practitioners that it does level out, right? And over time, like, it's like you're at the bottom of the ocean instead of the top, getting flopped around by all of the waves. And so that does happen. And it's just like you've walked your whole life in this land, just letting all of those things push and pull you and not knowing how to have equanimity with it, or the skills, concentration power, so you can get deep and really subtle in your sensory system to go, oh no, this is just something presented itself, or a sensation arose and I'm reacting from old habitual pattern thinking. So it just takes some time to retrain the systems, retrain the operating system, and to see your own personal inner system working. Because one other thing he also brought up, somebody asked them about working with people with multiple personalities. And he was kind of joking about that, but it is like there's a whole colony of personalities inside you, or there's a whole variety of personalities inside you. And there are these habit patterns that came online to protect you. And there are these habit patterns that of personality traits that not only came online to protect you, they probably have some real skill and value. Like some of them may be the like, I'm going to come in and protect you mode. And that means I'm going to get shit done and get you out of this situation. Or this part comes online, or this part comes online, right? And they're not integrated, so they're not totally skillful. And you don't quite know, like they just come online out of a habitual subtle nuances trigger them to come online because you hadn't been paying attention to, oh, this is an old habit pattern coming online, being triggered because of this. But I don't have to do that anymore. And I also don't have to throw that out because those little bits or parts, they call this parts or system, I think it's called parts work, or in family systems, it's like the parts work that you do. They have like this little come online to protect is great part of little colony of Anita. She comes online and she's an advocate for justice, and she's helps protect people, and she gets shit done, and she like that's a really cool part of the aspect. But if left unchecked, can like come online in times and places where it doesn't need to come online, or when it over exaggerates, like, oh, something big, right? When it could have just been like, oh, this. So that's the integration bit. The third part of this process is integrating those different parts of you. Integrating so you are moving from a place of more skillful means. So you start to know, oh, these are little parts of me that came online at some point to protect me or whatever it was, or, you know. And that's part of the integration process. And sometimes this happens at a level that you feel and know, and you can integrate it in a way that is in the realm of form and labels, and you know what's coming online. And sometimes it's not, and it's really subtle. And it may be old stuff or just stuff that you're like, I can't put the finger on, but I know I am having a sensory experience of agitation, and I'm going to be with it, and I'm going to be meditated. This is kind of that purification process. I'm just going to be meditated. So there's many different ways to work with this practice skillfully. And I thought that was really fun and interesting AMA with him last night, kind of explaining and talking about those things. Because those little parts of us don't really necessarily, we're not trying to get them to go away. They're skillful, helpful, productive aspects of those qualities in those parts, right? So we're going to integrate into this like upaya, skillful means, a skillful being that when she takes action over time, more often than not, odds are going to be from a place of presence and connectedness to the sensory system, not reacting to, but taking action if is necessary. And yeah, right? So it's a wonderful process. It's a wonderful ride. You bought the ticket, you're riding the ride. The price of entrance to the Club Med is just keep going, keep exploring. So on that note, let's keep going, let's keep exploring. If you have any questions from this little video that came up, or any questions over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to post this at the top of my feed, and we're going to do a Sunday, one of our Sundays that we meet in the meditation group, an AMA, Ask Me Anything. So you can ask me. So if there's something that comes up, you'll know, oh, I can drop it in the top of the comments, that thing, and when we do the AMA session, then they'll all be in there. Or if you want to ask me anonymously, just send it, and I can post it anonymously for you as well. Yeah. So let's do an AMA. Ask me anything. Let's explore. Have a fabulous day.